I've got Lynn Treneary with me today, which is absolutely brilliant. And I'm so thankful, Lynn, that you've been able to find the time to do a video conference with me, because I know that you're starting to prepare to move on, and there are big things happening. So, Lynn, I thought, first of all, it would be really good if you could just introduce yourself, tell us a bit about yourself, and what you do.
Okay, so I'm Lynn Treneary, and I am very nervous doing this recording. So please forgive me. I am a missionary in Maridi in South Sudan, and missionary work can be anything. It could be something that you're particularly skilled at, so there are doctors and there are nurses, or it could be somebody who, like me, fell into it really, because I have two daughters, and the youngest one was leaving. She was going on a gap year with Youth for Christ, and I was praying, Lord, what can I do? I want to do something for you. After all these years of having my wings clipped with bringing up the children, I wanted to do something exciting for the Lord. I'd read Brother Andrew's book on smuggling Bibles into China, and I thought, oh, I could do that. But what came up was a missionary who was in Maridi in South Sudan came to our church, the church that I was at in Southport, and talked about her work. And she left behind a prayer request list. And on the list was a request for an English teacher. And, you know, I'd been praying for a few weeks for all these things that she'd left the prayer request for. And then I remembered I had a TEFL certificate in teaching English. And I thought, oh, that wouldn't be good enough, but hey, let's offer myself. And I offered myself to go there just as a TEFL teacher, teaching English as a second language. And I went out there on a short-term mission. And then I went as a short-term mission partner with CMS. And then I was accepted to be a long-term mission partner with CMS. So I've been there for 10 years now, and the role is changing all the time. When I go back, because I've been ordained as a deacon, I'm the chaplain of the English service at the cathedral in Maridi, and I'm also going to be Bishop's admin assistant. So I'm really looking forward to going back.
What an amazing story as well, Lynn.
Yeah.
What an incredible story, Lynn. So tell us a bit about the situation in South Sudan, some of the things that you face, and some of the challenges that there are there.
Yeah, so Maridi, South Sudan is one of the poorest countries in the world. It has one of the least developed health systems, education systems. Any systems actually aren't working very well because they have been in civil war in different forms for over 50 years. And before that, they were very oppressed by other nations, including the British Empire, and by also the different religions. So Islam took over in the north and is still very prevalent there, and they tried to ban Christianity. So there's a completely different culture that was in the north in Sudan, which is more Arabian and Muslim, and the south is African and Christian, and they wanted their independence. And finally they got their independence. That was in 2011 when I first went out there. It could have been 2010. No, 2011, because it was just before I got there. But unfortunately, as what happens in a lot of countries that just got their independence, power struggles break out. And it is actually a very tribal country. A lot of places in South Sudan, you'll only get one tribe living in one area. And also there's a lot of very, very old culture that's been going on for hundreds of years, where you are considered strong and powerful, and you can take the power. The more cows you have, the more people you kill or abduct from other tribes. That is improving a lot. And so in Maridi, we've actually got a mixture of tribes, which is very unusual. We've got about 10 different tribes and all living very peacefully together. And I'd like to say that from my experience in South Sudan, the majority of people are actually peace-loving, humble, graceful, and just put us to shame as human beings because the difficulty in life that they have, but like I said, without the health and education and infrastructure that we have, and yet people are still very joyful in the Lord. Unfortunately, two of the biggest tribes are still the warrior tribes, and they are the ones that have got most of the government positions. And so things aren't running very smoothly at all. So yeah, lots and lots of prayers needed for the development of the country.
Thank you, Lynn. That paints such a vivid picture for us, and it's incredible the work you do. Absolutely incredible. I wonder whether you could tell us what's the best bit of the work that you do.
You know, the best bit of the work I do, for me personally, is feeling a part of life there, feeling a part of the community, having loving family and friends there. I find it a much more accepting culture. And I mean, I don't know, because I'm mixed race, and I sort of never, I knew I was, and I knew I got lots of racism. I had lots of racism at school even, especially in the Northwest. When I was growing up, there weren't a lot of mixed race or people of color there. And I didn't realize actually how much racism I'd suffered until I went there. And I was totally accepted. But it's weird because they don't see me as a black person. They see me as a Kawaja, which is a white person. But even though they see me as different, I'm still really loved and cared for and allowed to be a part of their lives. And that's the best bit for me, really.
That's absolutely wonderful, Lynn. Absolutely wonderful. And I share some of your experiences growing up in the Northwest as somebody of mixed heritage and how that can be. So it's wonderful that you've gone somewhere and there's been none of that and you've been fully accepted. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I wondered whether you could then just tell us that some of the biggest challenges that you have in your work.
Yeah, so the biggest challenges is, you know, when we see people who are better off than ourselves, we think they've got lots and lots and lots to spare. You know, we think, oh, well, they could be giving more to that. They don't have to live such rich lives. And I think, you know, that's come home to me. That's the way I was thinking too, that rich people can do anything they want. And it's expected of me, you know, that I can do anything I want. So everybody thinks I can help them to do everything. And, you know, it's just because I don't want to sometimes. So I help as many people as I can. And I pray for a lot of help, which is fantastic. I've had so many prayers answered, but I can't help everybody. And that's the most challenging thing. And also when people think I could probably do more than I'm doing, and I can't. Actually, when I'm there, I trust the Lord for everything. And I just give everything all away. I found that is the best way to live, because you know you're doing your absolute best and you can't do any more. And so it's not for me to solve every problem, but it's for the Lord. It's the Lord's work.
Oh, absolutely, Lynn, absolutely. Lynn, so obviously this year we're in the midst of a global pandemic and it's been incredibly difficult for a lot of people. Yeah. How has it affected you, Lynn, in the work that you do?
I'm one of those people, I've noticed that this pandemic is affecting people in very different ways. So some people, it's absolutely terrible, especially when they've lost loved ones or they can't see their loved ones. For me, when I first came back, that was the hardest thing because I'd been away for a year. I was desperate to be with my family and friends here, and I couldn't. And I found that a real challenge. But on the other hand, I've been really blessed because I was able to stay with a friend in Scotland, in Aberdeen, during the initial lockdown, the first 3 months. And so I wasn't on my own. And I was also able to be useful to her because she is a nurse in a mental health hospital and was terrified, you know, like a lot of people were when they were working in hospitals. And And I found that that gave me time to concentrate on her and for her to be blessed. Also, with the relaxation in Scotland of the lockdown, since I moved into a flat on my own because I thought I was going to be here for 6 months or more. I moved into a flat just round the corner from my daughter's house, and so because I live on my own, I'm allowed to visit their house, so I can still go there, look after my grandson. My other daughter's staying there as well. She was in lockdown in Manchester, and then so many people got made redundant, and so she's up here as well. And so it actually hasn't been so difficult for me, apart from I feel it for people, especially for people in nursing homes, not being able to see anybody. And I know that in Scotland those rules are being relaxed now, and I hope it's not long before they're relaxed in England as well, because for me that's been the hardest thing, is seeing so many people across the world suffering. But I haven't actually particularly suffered. I've suffered in a way of, I feel like the Lord's put me like the brakes on, and I just felt useless. I just I just felt like I can't do this. I can't do this. And yet I must tell you something wonderful that happened. It's going to be in my newsletter. But when I was staying at my daughter's, she lives right in the middle of the town, but she's got a lovely big garden. And just over the wall is a car park. And in the middle of the car park is a big wooden hut. And it was an old taxi office. And anyway, a church opened up in this hut. And it's called the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Fountain of Love. And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. And then as I was walking past, I could hear gospel music. And so I said, right, that's it, I'm going. I felt really like, yeah, I'm going to get some of this. There's not many places that are allowed, you know, the other churches, the Episcopal Church and the Church of Scotland, they weren't open. So in I went. We're all masked up, we're all social distancing. And it's actually a Black and minority ethnic majority in Ellen, in Scotland, you know. And for me, that was like, Lord, I can't get my head around how much you care for every single one of us individually, even me, you know. And I found friends and Christians who are truly alive in the Holy Spirit and expecting great things from God, and they also want to be a part of my mission in South Sudan. And so, you know, lockdown has been really amazing in horrible ways, but also in fantastic ways.
That is absolutely amazing. What a wonderful discovery. And I think a lot of us will share that kind of, I mean, there's been a lot of grief and a lot of pain, a lot of loss in this year. But there's also been, I mean, I totally share with you this feeling of being useless and wanting to do things and feeling sort of very restricted. And it's kind of, we've had to really think about who we are and what our role is and what we're called to at this time. And that's been a challenge as well. And but it's hopefully it's led us to grow in some ways as well, and to deepen our faith and recognise parts of ourselves that we hadn't seen before.
I completely agree with you. You know, some of the learning that I've been through, well, first of all, it was getting to be who I am, you know, because I'd sort of been living in this illusion that I was sort of, you know, a white person. Because that's how I grew up. Mum said to me, well, I never got any racism. I mean, they used to call me gollywog and stuff like that. But, you know, that didn't bother Mum. She didn't see it as racist. So I grew up thinking I was a white person, and it was an illusion. And now I feel so settled in my own skin and where I am. So that was one of my learnings. But another one, which was pretty awful, was finding my shadow self. So, you know, I might want to pray, and then I might not, part of me might not want to pray. And I'm like, what's that about? I love praying. But I realized that there's a part of me that tries to sabotage the good things. And that I'm still actually, you know, working on that. So if there's two things that if like, so for praying, I've used praying as an example. I'll say, yeah, I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it in a minute. I say, no, then you love praying. You love being in the presence of the Lord. You love it when you feel his presence. And so try and overcome, you know, that shadow self that's stopping you from doing what you want to do for the Lord. And I'm hoping, you know, that I'll be able to be a bit more useful by overcoming this. I call it my shadow self. I don't know what other people call it, but hopefully sort of recognizing it in me, seeing it's a part of me, and making it less powerful.
That is really, really interesting, Lynn. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that you are going to be moving again fairly soon, going back to South Sudan, am I right?
Yes. So thought I was going to go back in September, but that was just in my head. I just thought, I think it might be September. Then I got a message saying, no, don't come back, from the bishop in Maridi. He said, Lynn, it's dangerous, it's unhealthy, we're really struggling, the schools are closed, the churches are closed, what you going to do? Stay there. And I was very disappointed, but I thought I've sort of picked myself up, dusted myself off, got a flat. I got so much help with putting some furniture in it. And then a month later, Bishop changed his mind. Oh, schools are open, churches are open, you can come back now. So I was, you know, people said to me, what was that about then? What's God doing? You know, and I was thinking, do I have to understand everything? It might be nothing to do with me that I bought this flat. It might be to do with the landlords, you know, in God's rich tapestry of everybody's lives. I don't really have to understand why it is. I just don't think I've done anything wrong. You know, I had a look into that. Couldn't see where I've put, you know, made a mistake. But anyway, I'm booked now. It took a little bit of working out because you have to have a COVID-free certificate issued within 48 hours of landing. So that was quite tight. I needed to get this flat sorted out and put the furniture somewhere, and booked the mission flights, which changed their days. So I had asked them, they said it's Thursdays to Maridi. So I booked my flight so that I could arrive as near as possible to the Thursday to fly on the mission plane to Maridi. Then they changed to Tuesdays. So I had to change that, change the COVID test. And anyway, I'm booked for the 31st of October. And prayers, please, that I can get my visa at the airport because all the embassies are closed. So I'm going there with an invitation from CMS, an invitation from the bishop, my COVID-free certificate, my yellow fever card, and lots of prayers to get through security at Juba. And then I get the mission plane on the 2nd of November. And that's when I'll be arriving, God willing. Yeah.
We'll definitely hold you in prayer for those things that you've mentioned, Lynn. Is there anything else that we can pray for, or how can we support you? How can we back here support you?
You know, I don't know what you're all doing, but it's working. So whatever you carry on doing, what you're doing, please, you know, if you're praying for Maridi, I think that's the most important thing, is pray for Maridi, because when I'm there, I know about the prayers that have been said for the last 100 years. CMS has been there 100 years at the end of next year. There's going to be a big celebration. Anybody who wants to come is welcome. And I feel lifted up on the prayers that have gone before, the prayers that are going on now, and the prayers I hope for the future. So really, please keep praying for Maridi, because your prayers are being answered. And Maridi is a really lovely place in what is a very, very difficult country. and our prayers are being answered. So whatever you're doing,
Keep doing it.
I thank you, and I doubly thank you for the support during this time of lockdown, because I was aware that people are struggling themselves, and yet they're giving to support me to be in the UK, and I wasn't comfortable with that. But it was explained to me that you support me wherever I am, and I'm just so grateful, and I know that you're supporting me. I feel it in my spirit. So thank you very, very much.
Lynn, it's been amazing talking to you, and I know the congregations will love hearing your words and love seeing you in person as well, even in this way. And we really do pray and wish you all the best for your journey back. Hope all the administration and everything goes well. And I know for you it will be a good thing to go back and be a part of that place again. So we will hold you in our prayers, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love to everyone.